Your grandmother's appliance outlived 3 of yours. That is not nostalgia. It happened. And nobody had to plan it for it to happen. The reason is duller than a conspiracy and worse. Today we break down why durability quietly stopped being something products compete on, and what that costs you every year without ever appearing as a price. Start with the moment of purchase because everything follows from it. You are standing in front of 2 versions of the same thing. You can see the price. You can see the size, the color, the features, the reviews. You cannot see how long either one will last. Not approximately. Not at all. That single missing fact is where this whole story begins. There is a number that would change almost every purchase you make, and it is never printed. We will get to what it is. Here is the mechanism, and it is a market problem rather than a moral one. Buyers cannot reward what they cannot see. If lifespan is invisible at the moment of choosing, then building something to last longer costs the maker more and returns nothing. The extra cost shows up in the price where everybody can see it. The extra value shows up in year 8, where nobody is looking. So the durable version loses the sale repeatedly until it stops being made. Which means nobody has to decide anything sinister. Every individual choice is reasonable. The buyer picks the cheaper one because the difference is invisible. The maker builds the cheaper one because the durable one did not sell. Run that for 20 years and the shelves fill with things that are good enough for exactly as long as anyone checks. That is not a plan. It is an equilibrium. Now there is a real objection here and it deserves proper weight. Old things were not all better. Plenty of them were dangerous, wasteful, and impossible to use. Modern versions are safer, cheaper in real terms, and vastly more capable, and many of them last perfectly well. There is also survivorship at work. The one appliance from decades ago that is still running is the one you have heard about. The ones that failed were thrown away and forgotten. So the claim is not that everything used to be excellent. It is that lifespan stopped being a thing you could choose to pay for. Now here is the real reversal. Nothing is competing on durability because nothing can. A feature only becomes a selling point when the buyer can verify it before paying. Battery capacity is on the box. Speed is on the box. Warranty length is on the box. Years of service is not on the box because nobody could prove it and everybody would claim it. So it left the competition entirely, and once it left, the price of leaving it out fell to 0. If this is landing, tap subscribe so you do not miss the next one. That missing number is repair cost as a share of replacement cost, and it decides everything. When repairing something costs 60 or 70% of buying it new, nobody repairs it. And once nobody repairs it, there is no reason to design for repair, which pushes that share higher still. So repair does not disappear because people got lazy. It disappears because the arithmetic stopped working, and then the design followed the arithmetic. The result is a category of objects that are not really broken. They are simply not worth fixing. There is a reason reviews cannot fix this, and it is worth understanding. Almost every review is written in the first month. That is when the object is new, when the buyer is most motivated to write, and when the platform most wants the words. So the entire visible record describes the one period in a product's life when nothing has had time to fail. A review cannot report a lifespan it has not lived through. Which means the largest body of consumer information ever assembled is structurally silent on the one question that matters most. There is also a shape to how things fail now, and it is not random. Objects tend to stop working shortly after anybody would still be checking. Not because a timer was set, but because that is exactly where the cost of building further was no longer rewarded. Engineering to a target is normal and sensible. Every part in every object has a design life. The problem is that the target got set by what buyers could verify, and buyers could verify almost nothing. So the design life drifted toward the length of attention rather than the length of use. There is one more cost that never appears on any receipt. Every replacement is also a purchase decision, a delivery, an installation, a disposal, and an afternoon. None of that is priced. All of it is spent. So the cheap version costs its price, plus the second price, plus the hours around both. And the hours are the part nobody ever counts because they arrive years apart and never as a bill. There is a second force, and it is the one most people feel without naming. The cheap version is not sold to you as worse. It is sold to you as the sensible amount to spend. And it usually is sensible on the day. The difference only ever appears later, spread thin in a form nobody adds up. 2 replacements over 8 years does not feel like a large purchase. Feels like 2 small ones years apart in different moods. There is one group that does see the number, and watching them is instructive. Anybody who buys the same thing repeatedly at scale. When you own 200 of something, failures stop being anecdotes and become a line in a budget. That is why the version sold to businesses is often visibly sturdier, sometimes uglier, and priced as though durability were a feature. Because for that buyer it is one. They can see it, so somebody sells it to them. There is one more asymmetry worth stating because it explains why this never corrects itself. A maker who builds something to last loses the customer. Not in a sinister way. The customer simply does not come back for a decade, which is the point of a durable object. So the reward for doing it well arrives as an absence years later in a form no business can measure. Meanwhile, the cost of doing it well arrives immediately in the price where every buyer can see it. Any system that punishes a choice now and rewards it invisibly later will produce less of that choice over time. That is not cynicism about companies. It is what happens when the feedback runs slower than the decisions. Once you see this, several ordinary things stop being confusing. Why the warranty is short and the finish is beautiful. Why the part that fails is the cheapest part in the whole object. Why the professional version of a thing costs 3 times as much and looks worse. And why nothing on the shelf ever tells you how long it will work. It is the same mechanism every time. Not planned failure. Unpriced lifespan. It is worth being honest about what noticing this does because it is limited. You still cannot see lifespan. Knowing why it is missing does not make it appear. What changes is which signals you treat as evidence and how you count the cost of the things you replace often. So bring it into your own life and keep it to 3 habits. First, price by year, not by purchase. A thing that costs twice as much and lasts 3 times as long is cheaper, and that comparison takes 10 seconds. Second, use the signals that are hard to fake. A long warranty costs the maker money, so it is a real claim. Available spare parts are a real claim. Reviews written years after purchase are worth more than the ones written in the first week. Third, spend more only where replacement is expensive or repetition is high. The things you buy once a decade and the things you use every single day. Everywhere else, cheap is genuinely correct, and paying more buys you nothing you can measure. Now back to the first question. Why is nothing built to last? Because you cannot see how long something will last while you are deciding, and a quality nobody can check is a quality nobody will pay for. The number that would change your mind exists. It is simply not on the box, and it never had to be. If this was useful, subscribe and let us keep going. What is something you own that has outlasted everything you bought after it? Tell me in the comments. Understand money and you will see the world. The quiet part.